Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman. Detective Comics number 27 Batman, aka First Appearance Batman, aka Pink Gloves Batman. And I guess would you say purple or pink? I think I would go purple. I think it's more purple than pink. There's enough blue in it. Anyway, I've heard this is one of the best Batman figures they released, and I've had it in my to-review pile for forever, so I figured I'd finally crack open that box and see if he's actually any good. And I gotta tell you, I do think it's one of the cooler looking figures they've made. There's some stuff about it that I really love. But then there's also some McFarlane style stuff that, well, you guys know how it goes with this line. But this is the standard release with the pink gloves, no shading on the head, and so that's what we're going to look at. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alrighty, let's look at my package. Standard McFarlane packaging, nothing special. Mine is crushed up quite a bit. I believe back at the time that I got this, I ordered it from GameStop because it was the only place. But I think since then, Big Bad Toy Store has them. If that's the case, I'll put a link in the description below and you guys can get it if you want. But there you go, crushed up packaging from GameStop. Alright, so there is another version of this guy where he has, I guess they're like powder blue gloves and a little bit of shading on his head. I've never found one of those. I think my buddy found them once and I told him I didn't need it, but I do. So if any of you have a line on one of those, let me know. Also, same thing for the blue Azrael Batman, Azrael Armor Batman, the newest one. I need both of those chase variants for my collection. Okay, this guy stands... I'm not asking for him for free, by the way. Just if you can help attain one, that would be great. Because eBay, you know how eBay is. 7.5 inches tall to the top of his head. That's going to make him roughly, let's call it 19 centimeters. Here he is up against Darwin. He is on the larger build. Here he is up against another Batman who is shorter. Good old McFarlane and their scaling. Man, that company is so weird. Okay, so yeah, he's one of the bigger Batmans. And I have to say, the reason I think most people are saying this guy is so good is because he generally has pretty good proportioning, and the cape helps a lot, and the head shape helps a lot. It's a very striking figure. Don't get me wrong, there are problems. I'm going to point out the problems in this review. But it is a very striking figure for being such a basic design. It looks pretty darn good. We'll start with the downsides on this guy. Almost no paint. Unless they painted the bare plastic. It almost feels like it's painted, but I'm really guessing it's just the way they molded it, which is a good thing. It's a nice flat finish, so that's good, but almost no paint. A little bit right here, a little bit on the face. I think that's it. Like, there's almost literally zero. But at least the bat symbol is clean, so I'll give them that. And the paintwork on the face, the lips are probably too much. People like to complain about lips being painted these days. Oh, it looks like they're all wearing lipstick. Look in the mirror. At least if you're a white guy, that's what your mouth kind of looks like. I mean, that's what it looks like. Your lips are a darker color, notably darker than the rest of your skin. Now, he's really pale, so his lips are standing out, and I think it is too much here. But generally speaking, maybe they're a touch dark, but lips do have a different color to them, so I don't mind it anyways. My point, this one, I think his face is pale, but I love the head sculpt, and they nailed the eye paint. Now, there is a problem with the head sculpt, and we'll get to it later, but I love the way that looks. I think they nailed it. Like I said, the proportioning's not bad. I'm not sure if this chest has been used before. I want to say it has. It's very flat. It looks like an unfinished sculpt, so that's not great. But at least the shoulders are where they belong for the most part. They're relatively high, they're not too narrow, and it does give him the overall look that we want. Generally speaking, this is a fairly doughy sculpt. His legs have no real definition. Same thing for his chest. There's a lot of wrinkling in his abdomen. The colored plastics aren't exactly the same. There's plenty of flaws with this figure, but if you're not in review mode, you're going to enjoy the look of this thing. It has much better proportioning than most of the releases from this line. And that's what makes it look really good. He's got the smaller head, broader shoulders, proper lengths for the most part for the limbs. It looks really good. And then the cape. The cape is connected fairly far forward so it can go over the shoulders. That gives him a really nice look, a big bonus in the aesthetic department. I don't like the material of the cape at all. It's that Barbie dress material that's very stiff. And I don't like it. It's shiny on the back, not on the front, and it's a stiff material. It doesn't hang at all nicely, but it is wired. So yeah, there's definitely some downsides, but I think you're going to stick that on your shelf. That's one of the better Batman figures from McFarlane. It definitely has a good look to it. And I think the blue-gloved one that matches this artwork, we'll look at that in a minute. It actually looks better. But this one, despite its flaws, I like it a whole bunch as a collector. And as a reviewer, the good stuff offsets the bad stuff. So I'm going to give him an I'm going to give him an aesthetic rating of 8 out of 10. Definitely some flaws, but there's a lot there to like. And I have to mention this, guys. A lot of people like to mention, well, if this had this, then you wouldn't have, if this brand had this, you wouldn't have liked it, or if that brand had that, you would have liked it. It's not based on the brands, guys. It's based on what the figure offers. There's a lot of good here, so I can overlook the bad to some degree. Whereas if it's a crappy figure, I can't overlook the bad because there's no good to balance it. So that's why I'm so tired of people saying, well, if Marvel Legends did that, you wouldn't like it. Correct. I wouldn't. I don't like it here either, but there's good here that Marvel Legends don't bring most of the time. That just as an example. Okay, let's talk about the accessories. He's got the 2 fist hands, 2 kind of open hands, and then the crunchy hands from Nightfall Batman. I guess everybody's getting these hands now. Don't like that. I guess that's a fine assortment. He has a pipe wrench. That's not a pipe wrench. What is that? It's a wrench. What's that wrench for? Is it a pipe wrench? I don't know what that kind of wrench is. I'm a dummy. Okay, and then we do also get the card, which is, I guess, fine if you want that, and same thing with the display stand. So nothing special, 5 out of 10. I don't really like the hand assortment, but the fist hands will be fine for me. Alright, let's talk about the articulation. This is a problem I have. For the head, they decided to make his cowl all one piece, just like Michael Keaton Batman, and it's a good look, for sure. It helps the figure to look good. You can get the same look, though, without doing that, but here's the problem. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this very well. Hopefully, you can see in there. He has a big gap in his neck when you lift his head up or even forward that you can stick the hand into. I mean, it's a big gap. Stick it in this way. Nope, can't do it that way. There's a huge gap in his neck. It's hard to see because it's so darn dark in there. But I don't like that there's a big gap in his neck. Unless you lean him forward that much. Which is not a huge deal, but it does limit posability. So there's no real need for that. They could have done without it. That's a little bit irritating. But it does allow him to lean and look. And it's pretty good still. I'll take ball pegs over hinges any day. It still works, but could be a lot better. So the cape attaches to the front here at the top of the clavicle with a wire. So if you wanted, you could bring it back this way for the most part. It's not perfect, but you could do it. And you can also have it droop over the shoulders. I love that. I think that's the best option. It's not perfect in either direction, but this, I would rather be able to go over the shoulders. Speaking of which, the shoulders have almost no play on that ball peg that they normally get to adjust on. Maybe this is a new chest. I can't remember. No, it looks like one of the first chests they did. But then it would have a different cowl. I think this is a new chest. Anyway, these don't move around in here at all. Like, there's no point in having these caps or anything. So let's see how the arms work without that. They raise up pretty well. Shoulders are kind of weird looking in the armpit, but they do raise up better than horizontal. Full rotation, of course. Bicep swivel is there. Double jointed elbow. Works no problem. Still really ugly elbow joints, but they do function, so that's okay. Ball hinge on the wrist. That'll be nice for posing if you really need to pose his fists. Diaphragm joint on this guy does let him lean back. This piece has definitely been reused about 1,000 times. It doesn't look good to lean him back. It gets gappy and you can see some seams. Leaning forward, nothing. That sucks. Leaning to the side is pretty good. I'll take it. Same kind of gappiness though. Not great. Lower torso. It has a little bit of extra range, but really not much. So the torsos still suck. I don't know why these companies can't do torsos. Like, it'll be fine for basic poses, but nothing that involves much crunching forward. Super lame. Alright, legs go all the way out to the side. Almost. That's enough for me. It's basically full-on splits. So that's good. The diaper is fighting the leg joint a little bit, the hip joint. Bringing the legs forward. That's as far as you get without stretching the material. Somebody decided to yell at me in the comment section saying, hey, it's soft material. You're meant to stretch it. You can get the legs up way higher. You can, but this is PVC, and if you actually stretch it, you're going to mess it up. So that's as far as they go comfortably. If you want to stretch it, go for it. I don't recommend that. If it's the wrong kind of PVC, you're not getting it back, and you're going to get stress marks that do go back a little bit. I still suggest you cut away just a little bit of the diaper. That'll help. If you really want to stretch this material, you can do it, but I don't think that's a great idea. Thigh swivel is in there. It does a little bit of work. Knee joint works well. You can still see the proportions not perfect on the legs, but at least it's a functional joint. Ugly joint, but functional. And then lastly, for the ankles, almost lastly, Ankles are still way over ratcheted, as most McFarlane figures are. It's really a pain in the butt to get them to stand. They are functional though. I mean, you get lots of range out of them, but really a pain in the butt. And the toe joint is acceptable, but not good. So, his articulation is passable. Is it good? Not really. Is the cape good in terms of the wire placement and everything? Yeah, but the material sucks, so it hurts there. So, articulation on this guy, I'm going to give him only a, I want to say 6. The torso sucks. The neck has a big gap in it. I guess it mostly works. I don't know. You could go 7, I suppose. He's not the most expensive figure in the world, so it's fine. It's not impressive at all. There's a lot of problems, but it's fine. So now it's time for the final verdict. One of my personal favorites from them, but as a reviewer, it's not that special. There are lots of problems with this figure. There's lots of good stuff too. Just looking at that silhouette makes me happy. I mean, obviously the cape is there, but look at the body silhouette. It's a good looking Batman figure in a lot of ways. A lot of flaws. I'm gonna just give it a 7. Like, as a collector, I like it much more than a 7, but as a reviewer, I can't go higher than a 7. Too many flaws. But I'm thinking if you're like me, you're going to find some good out of it and you're going to enjoy the figure. So I'll put a link in the description below if I'm right about Big Bad Toy Store having them. I'm almost positive they ended up getting them, but if not, I'll link to something else. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.